talk about the Bears because I was debating on putting this in quotation marks of Brandon's Bears because we all know how much I talk about the Chicago Bears and how in I was last year on the Chicago Bears and Matt Eberflus let me down. Ben Johnson comes in, and the first thing he does, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, is completely fix their interior of their offensive line. They have a new left guard, they have a new center, and they have a new right guard. Now, they could upgrade a left tackle theoretically in the draft if they want to, but for the most part, this offensive line is set. And that was the weakness of this Bears team. And I think, and somebody floated this out there, we know Ben Johnson's history with two running back systems. There's a possibility I think they could take Ashton Gentry, the running back from Boise State, in the first round, pair him up with DeAndre Swift. Could you imagine that? With Caleb Williams, with DJ Moore, with Roma Dunse, a good, powerful offensive line. Like Detroit, everybody was afraid of losing Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson is going to try to rebuild exactly what he helped rebuild in Detroit.
It's going to be interesting. I think the biggest piece of this offensive line rebuild or redo, whatever word you want to use there, for the Bears, actually not only it helped them, but hurt the Chiefs by trading.
I disagree a little bit because I think center is more impactful. The guy they got from Atlanta, Dalton Reisner, I believe his name. He was the number one center on the board. He was the number 2 ranked center last year by PFF. I get what you're saying. I think Kansas City will probably figure it out. Andy Reid knows how to rebuild offensive lines.
Does he though?
Yes, he does. He rebuilt. Remember when they got blown out by Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl? They rebuilt the offensive line the next year like that. Boom.
They've never really been able to solve their left tackle issues. But in terms of the Bears, I stand by what I just said. I think their biggest pickup was a big loss for Kansas City in terms of getting Joe Thuney. That's because not only are you bringing in a very good offensive lineman, I forget what position he plays off the top of my head.
Left guard.
Okay, left guard. Thank you. But you're also bringing in somebody who's coming from a winning organization.
Not only that, but he won Super Bowls in New England as well. That's how Kansas City got him.
Yes. So that just further enhances my overall point, which is he can bring some of that winning culture that you were just talking about with Ben Johnson. Like Ben Johnson is coming from a winning culture in Detroit. So you bring in more of that. We've talked a lot about
this. That's exactly what the Bears need to do because of the disaster that it was last year. Josh, if J.J. McCarthy's as good as I think he may be for the Vikings, I'm back to my Packers are the worst team in that division take.
The NFC North is going to be fast. I'll say this. I don't know if it's going to be the best division in football.
Oh, it's going to be the best division in football.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I'm not quite ready to say that yet.
Maybe not record-wise, but in terms of quality talent from all 4 teams, this team does not have a bottom basement team. That's how I'll put it.
Okay, that's fair. What I will say, though, is I think it's going to be the most fascinating division to watch. And I'm really excited that we get to play the NFC North. So for the Browns, rather, that means we play at Chicago, at Detroit, and we host Green Bay, and we host Minnesota.
Why are you excited about that? That's like 4 losses.
I know.
Hey, for the record, Philly plays them too, and I'm not excited about it.
I don't know. There's just something about those 4 teams that is really cool when we play them. I enjoy playing the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings and the Packers. I don't know.
I do think the Bears have won free agency so far. Washington, to me, was close. I'm not the biggest fan of Debo Samuel. You know that. I think he'll have a good impact there in Washington. I don't know how much if he's a little bit over his head. I thought Werner Tunsil was a great addition for them. But I thought overall, in terms of the biggest impact that they made on their team to win right now, Chicago, I think, took the biggest leap.
It's so funny. The Bears keep winning like the off season, but it doesn't translate once the actual season starts. It's really weird. Like
I do hope the NFL does what they did last year and put a lot of the NFC North games on the back half of the schedule.
Yeah. And I know you explained to me why like both division games can't be in prime time, but I would put like both Bears Packers. Okay, maybe not Bears Packers, but I
think one of Bears Lions is 100% going to be a primetime game.
It should be, and the other one's probably going to be Thanksgiving.
Bears Packers will probably be either a special Thanksgiving game or a primetime game.
Yeah,
I think Lions Packers, and Lions Vikings will probably be a primetime game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I wouldn't. The NFL should break its own rule and do like Lions Vikings Sunday night football and then Monday night football. I don't care that the general rule is both division games can't be in prime time. I don't care. Screw that.
So my team has lost a lot on the defense side of the ball, and I knew this was coming. We did bring back Zach Bond in free agency, which was expected.
That's a big recap. Before you continue, I think that's a huge win for your Eagles. I really do.
So I do completely agree because we were prepared to lose Milton Williams. We were, by the way, for the record, I love Milton Williams. I don't think he's worth $28 million a year. Good for you, New England, for paying him. You deserved him. You need him. Go out and get him. I'm not mad at all. Arizona needed the pass rush. Good for them for going out and getting Josh Sweat.
That's a big loss for you. I'll let you continue in a minute, but I think losing Josh Sweat is actually going to hurt you guys, at least to a certain degree. I'm not saying your defense is going to fall apart and all that, but what I am saying is I think Josh Sweat was a huge part of that defensive line and why you guys were able to be so effective last year. So I do think that's going to be a big loss for you. I really do.
I'm not denying that. But I think that people that don't watch the Eagles on a week to week or cover them like I do, they're looking at it like, yes, and we lost Darius Slay too, which is another big loss, right? He goes to Pittsburgh. So there's another loss on the defense side. And you trade CJ Gardner-Johnson to Houston, another safety loss. So there is a lot of big losses. But Philadelphia is counting on young guys like Sidney Brown, who I know they're high on at safety to replace CJ Gardner-Johnson. Kiwi Ringo. Guess which college he went to? Georgia University. The University
you might as well call, at this point, you might as well call the Philly defensive line like Georgia 2.0.
You might as well call the defense Georgia 2.0 because not just the defensive line. There's Nakobe Dean. There's Kiwi Ringo. They're counting on Jackson Hunt, who they drafted in the third round, a lot like Milton Williams, and Ajoro, who they drafted in the seventh round. These young guys who did not play a lot last year, the way guys like Milton Williams and Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith did not play a lot the year before to step up. And I think these guys can. I think the losses are more about they won't be as effective this year, and the depth is going to be a little bit damaged. And I think it's going to be about, hey, we got to lose some guys because Jalen Carter is due here, and Myles Garrett just got $40 million. Jalen Carter's going to be right up there, if not surpassing that amount of money. So that's what these moves were about.
Yeah, and I get that. I don't think losing Kenny Pickett's that big of a deal for your Eagles.
No, I wasn't even talking about Gainwell because we just brought in A.J. Dillon, obviously, and Will Shipley is there, who we drafted last year, who I like. I don't think Barkley is going to go for 2,000 yards again. I think they are going to try to conserve him a little bit, even though they did give him a contract extension. The one move with my Eagles that no one in the media is talking about, that I will report here exclusively on Championship Rings, is if they get the right price, there is a reason why today they signed another tight end in Harrison Bryant. I would not be surprised if Dallas Goedert gets moved this offseason.
Okay. No, but I was talking about with you guys trading Kenny Pickett. Like, that wasn't surprising to me.
And we got DTR back. He's going to be a camp body. Tanner McKee is going to be QB2.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I think your defense will take a little bit of a step back. Not like, oh my God, what's wrong with Philly's defense? Like that level. But, like, maybe I don't think you'll be as great as you.
And our schedule this year is ridiculous. We had to play the entire AFC West. We had to play the entire NFC North. And we have to go to Buffalo. Like, it is going to be a gauntlet. So I agree with you. I think we are going to take a little bit of a step back, especially early in the season. I think a lot like last year. Remember, the defense struggled the first 4 games. Took them time. Then they started to get going. I think you're going to see something similar. They're going to rely on a lot of these young guys to get better throughout the year, a lot like Kansas City did when they won their Super Bowls. Remember, the year they beat us, Super Bowl 57, a lot of those guys were young. Now they're homegrown, and now they have one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how your schedule lines up because we talked about it. What was it? Was it last year that you guys had to run that gauntlet, or was that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago when they gave us San Francisco and down. I mean, that was when the meltdown happened. San Francisco, Dallas, Buffalo, Kansas City, back to back to back to back to back.
Yes. It'll be with the list of opponents you mentioned, I'll be curious to see if the Eagles get that type of gauntlet again at some point. And if they do, how does your defense handle that?
It'd be always impossible not to get it unless you throw in like a Giants and a Raiders like in between. And even the Raiders aren't even could be, not a joke. It's Chip Kelly's return to Philadelphia for the first time, believe it or not.
Okay.
So that's going to be an emotional game, I think, for a lot of the fans out there. Obviously, we know the way Chip Kelly ended in Philadelphia. And, I still think we have one of the best rosters in football, but it wouldn't surprise me if we go from, 14-3 to 10-7, and Washington is right there, or hell, even steals the division.
I still think you guys are going to win the division, but I think it's going to be nip and tuck between you and Washington all the way through.
Well, the NFC East hasn't had a repeat winner in 21 seasons.
If I'm the NFL, I don't know if I would put the game in Philly or in Washington, but I would make the week 18 game be Philly, Washington. I would. Again, I'm not sure if I would put it in Philly or in DC, but that would be so good.
I think it could be a week 1 matchup in Philly. I'm also envisioning maybe they go with Chicago. Maybe. Out of the Notch, Ben Johnson.
Maybe. I mean, the NFL did that with Detroit a couple years ago.
The options I see right now for week 1 are basically Dallas, Washington, Chicago, Detroit.
I'm surprised more people aren't mentioning the Rams.
Yeah, but it's hard when you ask a team to go West Coast to East Coast week 1.
I know, but I feel like the Rams gave you your best fight in the playoffs last year.
I'm trying to think. You know why? I think that game against the Rams is in LA.
I thought it was in Philly.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that. I can double check that real quick.
Because if it's in Philly, then I think to me, I would do the Rams.
Let's see. Hold on.
Yep, they do host the Rams.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I looked it up on the Eagles website. They
Yep,
do host the Rams.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. So I think the Rams.
That's an option for sure.
I could see the Broncos being the sneaky option for that week opening game.
For
also,
week one, I don't know about week one. You want a marquee quarterback on that.
True.
So it's either going to be Dak because of the rivalry with Dallas, obviously. Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams, or Jared Goff and the Lions. And the Lions be more the Dan Campbell team thing. The Lions have already been talking about the fact that if they would have played us in the NFC Championship game, they would have beat us. I don't necessarily know about that. Me and you talked about that. So that's another interesting angle.